This broadcast is the property of Codependents Anonymous. Reproduction without written permission from Codependents Anonymous is not permitted.
Today's topic, the topic for this meeting today is spirituality. And to introduce the topic, our speaker today is Jim K. from Pennsylvania.
Thank you, David, and
Welcome,
thank everyone
Jim.
for coming. Our topic today for discussion is spirituality. Growing up, I had religion pounded into my head. When I came to CoDA, I discovered a power greater than myself. The 12 steps taught me to become willing to believe in a God of my own understanding. That is when I found this common thread of spirituality through all our literature, but it is always left up to the individual member to come to their own understanding. In my personal experience, my transformation happened when the God I was taught to believe in started to leave my head and entered my heart. We're getting a lot of background noise. That was when my world changed and everything took on new meaning. The word spiritual appears in step 12. Having had a spiritual awakening as a result of these steps, we tried to carry this message to other codependents and to practice these principles in all of our affairs. It appears in tradition 12. Anonymity is the spiritual foundation of all our traditions, ever reminding us to put principles before personalities. And it appears in promise 12. I gradually experience serenity, strength, and spiritual growth in my daily life. There are 5 readings about spirituality in this moment daily meditation book. These beautiful affirmations help ground me in the spirit of recovery. As I begin to mature in my recovery by helping fellow members, I find one of the greatest difficulties they face in the beginning is accepting their powerlessness so they can open their hearts to this wonderful source, spirituality. This is the reading from February 10th. In this moment, I am spiritual. When my spirit is in harmony with life, I am renewed and refreshed with affirmation and wisdom. I have freedom to live without limitation and strength to bear all things. I am unique and precious. A surge of gladness travels through my being. I have hope for that which I once thought I could not accomplish. With grace, I find heaven within. I give thanks for the gift of wonder, wholeness, and abundance. There is a guide I used in the back of in this moment where you can look up, I looked up spirituality, but you can look up any words you choose. And I've really felt that I've found it very handy in looking up things for inspiration. Spirituality, there are around 16 references to the word spirituality in our big book, but the common thread is there throughout. I will read only 10. On page 12, beginning our journey, at some point, it's under the section beginning our journey. At some point, most of us acknowledge a higher power as a guide on our journey, the source of our progress. We may become aware that we are on a spiritual journey. The second one is on page 13. Some of us become nervous at the mention of spirituality and a higher power, even if you've given up on a higher power or wonder if such a being exists. You are welcome to the program of Codependents Anonymous. This is not a religious program, but a spiritual one. It's a program for finding peace within. Page 21, also under a suggested program of recovery. Wherever our codependent course takes us, we find we are left with no other resource than to seek a safe power greater than ourselves, one that can restore us to sanity. To continue recovery, we must become willing to consider this endeavor. And number 4, page 21. If we haven't experienced a higher power before, our concept of safe being can begin to take shape. If we already have a relationship with God, we can begin to build a spiritual foundation for our program of recovery. Number 5, page 63, suggested program of recovery. It's under the heading suggested program of recovery. In making our direct amends, we recommend simple, direct, and specific communications. We approach God, ourselves, and others with compassion and understanding, maintaining our humility, spirituality, and boundaries to the best of our ability. Page 76. And practice these principles in all our affairs. The final phrase in this step reminded us that we could not separate our spirituality from the rest of our lives. The principles embodied in the 12 steps and 12 traditions were not the private domain of CoDA meeting rooms. They were meant to be practiced in all our affairs. Page 77, we hear of the spiritual principles found in CoDA and how CoDA is a spiritual program. Some of us wonder what they mean by spiritual principles and spiritual program. Not realizing it, we are about to embark on a journey of spiritual transformation. Now, 11 steps and 1,000,000 miles later, we embrace step 12 of the program of Codependents Anonymous. In completing these 12 steps, we come to understand the meaning of spirituality in our lives. Number 8, page 77, some say spirituality is how we allow our higher power to be expressed through us. Some say it is an expression of our own spiritual nature. Through our recovery, many of us believe that it is both. 9, page 112, our internal boundaries define and contain the unique personal characteristics of our thoughts, feelings, opinions, behaviors, beliefs, and spirituality. And number 10, page 113, when we have healthy internal boundary systems, we recognize that each individual is responsible for his or her emotional, mental, and spiritual boundaries. I have a digital copy of the Blue Book. That helped me to look up the word spirituality. There is no guide in the back of the hard copy. So you have to use a digital copy, and I couldn't, the page numbers, they vary from a different iPad or whatever you're using, so I could only use the hard copy page numbers. But the In This Moment meditation does have that guide in the back. And that's the end of the reading. Thank you for letting me read today. And I'll pass.
Thank you, Jim. Just a few announcements before we open the meeting up to sharing. For those people that have come in after the introduction began, a reminder, this meeting is recorded. Use your raise hand feature in Zoom to get in queue to speak. And I believe that the meeting is now open for sharing on the topic of spirituality in CoDA. This is a forum where we can ask questions and make comments. It's not limited to personal sharing only. Yes, Susan.
Hi, I'm Susan, and I am codependent. I have a question because I have run into situations in which I will be talking with someone or working with someone, and bringing up the spirituality concept, and they might say, "Well, I don't believe in anything." So, being a sponsor and so forth, how can maybe I get some ideas from the group on how exactly do you handle something like that during on a one-on-one conversation with someone? Yeah, CoDA.
Good question, Susan. Is there anybody that would like to speak to Susan's question? Anyone? Yes, Glenda, please continue.
Hi, I'm Glenda. I'm codependent. I'm doing the steps. I'm on step 6 now, so I don't know if I'm considered like a newbie, a baby, an adolescent, in coming along in my journey of codependency. But I entered the group, the fellowship, as an agnostic atheist. I was brought up in a very fundamentalist religious background, so the concept of a God just repelled me and still does repel me because of the way that it's been presented. So I had a hard time with spirituality, I guess. Through working the steps and with the help of my sponsor, I'm trying to learn to let go of any kind of concrete concept. And I would say perhaps to others who are like me that in time, over the past few months, I've noticed things that are settling, or some of my characteristics, my codependent characteristics, at least a couple of them, no longer are there. Basically, they might pop up again. I can't put it down to anything specific that I've done. It's almost like the universe, or this kind of electrical energy in the universe. I don't know how to describe it, but it's working with me to help wake me up and perhaps just let go of my rigidity and my controlling characteristics. And so I've come to just not believe, just sort of trust in it. The expression, go with the flow. It wasn't immediate. I would perhaps share with people my experience and just say, you don't have to really believe in anything other than working the steps, and things will happen. And you can attribute that to whatever you want, perhaps your own inner personal efforts, although that comes back to control, and it doesn't always work, in my case at least. But when I would go out in my garden, and I still do, and I just kind of look at this huge fir tree that I have, and I would just talk to the fir tree because it's got energy, it's grown, it's strong, it's there, it withstands storms and sun and snow here where I live. And I want to be that kind of resilient person. And things have happened. Things are slowly changing. So all I can say is, like, the spirituality part, I still don't believe in this God, like a Christian punishing God. I don't believe in an entity called God. But it seems to me now, through my experience over the past several months, that there is some kind of energy helping me. And I think it's available to everybody, and we're going to find it each in our own way. But that's all I can say. But, like, don't throw out the baby with the bathwater, I guess. We don't have to believe, but we will see changes in ourselves if we work the program. Thank you.
Thank you, Glenda. Anyone else care to express feelings and thoughts on Susan's question and the subject of spirituality?
Hi, I'm Pauline. I'm codependent. I
Pauline.
have a couple thoughts. I come from another 12-step program, 10 years in it, and we'll just throw out a few things. I come from a really strong religious background, which I pretty much embraced. In our other 12-step program, there are a couple things that I've learned, and they are that we refer to a higher power, and we can also refer to them as the God of our understanding. Now, when I was being sponsored, my sponsor said, here's what I want you to do. I want you to make a list, just construct your own vision or attributes that you want in your higher power. And I know one of the things I listed was has my back. And that was very important to me, that even if I would make mistakes or be a slow learner or still be caught, that God would, would be, catch me, when I fell. And I find that to be true. And also from the other 12-step program, I have learned that God does not give a huge admission list, or spirit or universe does not give a huge admission list to those who wish to come to believe. And I'm just going to put a period after believe. We need only to crack the door open an inch or two, and spirit or universe or God or higher power will reveal himself to us. And a lot of people use group conscience, not group conscious, use the group as a source. I know a person who is in my other 12-step group whose exact guide is nature. She said she loves nature. She loves to go out in the woods and just reflect and think things like that. So I've heard that more than once. I think it's very unfair to insist, you must, think this way, you must, think that way. What's the matter with you? You don't believe God? It really is kind of cold to a new person or to any person. Like I said, I was very lucky to grow up in a faith that I embraced. So I just thought I'd throw that stuff out.
Thank you, Pauline. Thanks for share.
Yep.
Thanks for your share. Anyone else like to express some thoughts on this topic of spirituality in CoDA?
David, I have a comment.
Please.
My name is Jim, and or James today, and I am codependent. What I meant when I said, when I was growing up, I accepted the God that my parents taught me and the church I went to taught me. But what I realized when I got into CoDA, I came after a horrendous personal event, was that the God I knew was all in my head. But as I went through the CoDA program, I realized that the God in my head was starting to migrate to my heart. And that's when the spirituality actually entered my life. So that's number one. And the other thing is, I envision God as an equal partner. Now that sounds arrogant, I guess, but in the promises it says I'm reading these. I've got these doggone glasses on. We're all with equal partners. It's the promise I'm looking for. Let me get my other glasses on. I learned to see myself as equal to others. My new and renewed relationships are all with equal partners. And I try to put my higher power in there too, because no matter what situation I'm in, I meet my higher power meets me at my level. I don't understand how it works. And it's this this giant energy is what it is. But when I need that higher power, it shows up on my level and talks to me in my language. So that's part of my journey to find out that I have this wonderful spirituality present in my life, and I can use it. I use it every day, and it's transformed my life. So I wanted to add that. And it takes a lot of patience. To Susan's question, your friend would be, you have to make sure that people around you realize that, yes, I've only been in recovery for 6 years, but that's a long time. You know, people say, I want to get what you have, but it takes a lot of work. And when you work through the steps, then you start to realize the promises, and that's the good stuff. That's when you get the good stuff. So that's, I think that's what I wanted to share, and I'll pass. Thank you for letting me speak.
Thank you for sharing with us today, Jim. Today we're talking about spirituality in CoDA. For me, CoDA is a spiritual program. Hi, I'm David. I'm codependent. For me, CoDA is a spiritual program, not a religious program. For those that have the Codependents Anonymous Blue Book, I would suggest reading in Chapter 5. It's kind of frequently asked questions are answered. The heading for Chapter 5 isn't FAQ, but it's something along those lines. I think it's around page 100 or 102 on a little paragraph or two on God and why in CoDA, CoDA doesn't use a pronoun for God. There's another section earlier in the Blue Book on higher power. And I think there's somewhere in that paragraph it even mentions one person said they used an old shoe for their higher power. The thing about CoDA is, like it says in the preamble, I'll bring that up so I say it correctly. Where did I put that? Here it is. In CoDA, we each learn to build a bridge to a higher power of our own understanding, and we allow others the same privilege. That's one of the more important things for me about this program, that it's up to me to decide what my higher power is. I had a conversation with someone recently who was saying that there was someone in a meeting who was saying that he was his own higher power. And we were talking about whether or not that was possible. I think that the answer to that can easily be found in step number 2, which says, step 2 says, came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. So it doesn't sound like I can be my own higher power if it's something greater than me. The other thing that is important to me in this program is recognizing that spirituality is something about my core being. It's something to do with my heart, not my head. It's not what I think. It's not my ideas about this program and myself, which are changeable. What I think and what I say changes over time as I grow and change. But my spirit, my heart, seems constant, never changing, deepening growing, expanding, but not changing. And that's what spirituality means to me. I don't think this program works for me without me getting in touch with the spirituality of the program and my own spiritual nature. Thank you. Pass. Today, we're talking about spirituality in CoDA, open to conversation, questions, sharing, and feedback. This is a forum, and it's a little different from a CoDA meeting. We get to talk about our ideas, our questions, and our feelings a little differently than we do in a meeting. And we're open to the topic.
Hi, Teresa. I would like to share.
Hi, Teresa. Welcome.
On the topic with spirituality, for myself, I know that I couldn't do it without my higher power. I'm a recovering addict with NA and in CoDA, and just without my higher power, it wouldn't even be possible at all. And so I agree with I believe it was Jim that had shared and said that, where he said it moved from his heart, from his head to his heart. And I've experienced it the same way, and everything just starts to come natural spiritually once it reaches your heart. And it just makes a difference. I wouldn't have nothing. I wouldn't even have my sobriety nor the groups I have without him, without my higher power. So I just wanted to share that. Thank you guys for letting me.
Thanks for sharing, Teresa. Yes, Susan, please continue.
Hi. Once again, I'm Susan, and I'm codependent. And I thought it was very interesting what Pauline was saying. And I went to the Newcomers Handbook for Codependents Anonymous, and on page 36 there is a portion called spirituality. And if you don't mind, I'd like to read some of the sections of this, which I thought was very interesting.
I think that's a great idea. Please continue.
Thank you. Okay, it's called the Newcomers Handbook, Codependents Anonymous. On page 36, it's spirituality, and it says, CoDA is not a religion, just as it is not a therapy. There's no requirement that anybody in CoDA feel or be spiritual. The only requirement for membership in CoDA is a desire for healthy and loving relationships. Spirituality happens to many people as a result of working the steps. This spirituality is not a religious concept, but it does have something to do with being in touch with a power greater than ourselves. This power can be anything we defined it to be for ourselves. Defining and developing one's own spirituality is a very powerful and healing experience for many. Speaking of it becomes a part of many recovery stories. Almost all recovering persons begin to talk openly about a higher power and even God. For example, you will frequently hear these slogans in CoDA: let your higher power do it for you, what you cannot do for yourself, and let go and let God. Now, old timers may not be offended by mentions of God during meetings and may have forgotten that they once complained about too much God talk. As a newcomer, hearing spirituality, higher power, and God mentioned in CoDA meetings and readings, these terms in CoDA literature may seem threatening. It raises a fear that eventually someone is going to say, all you really need is a little more religion. And that is likely to happen. That is unlikely to happen. There are many people in the program who have suffered spiritual abuse and religious abuse. The acceptance we seek from others includes spiritual and religious tolerance. As individuals, this takes some time and recovery to develop. The CoDA program of recovery encourages each individual to define their own personal concepts of spirituality and a higher power. This is done gently, without calling attention to the process or progress of any one individual. Allow time for your spirituality to develop. It unfolds by itself as a result of working the steps. The way it develops is by you not trying so hard and letting go a little, being open to its growth and its development. But don't worry about it if you don't have it. In CoDA, we're learning to be more tolerant and gentle with ourselves and others. We want to be accepted as we are, not as others say we should be. By individually being tolerant of ourselves first and others second, our spirituality grows so we can collectively find acceptance. Pauline really, really kind of hit it on the head on that one. I really feel it's done during those steps. If you don't have that higher power feeling, it will eventually, you'll find it through the steps. And with that, I will pass.
Thank you so much for reading that and sharing that with us today, Susan. That was really good.
Hi, I'm Pauline. I'm from the Codependent. I found something on page 38.
Hold on a minute, Pauline.
I'm sorry.
In queue, I have Glenda, who had her hand up first, and then you go after Glenda, okay?
Okay.
Great, thank you. Continue, Glenda.
Thank you. That was, what's it called? The Newcomers Handbook? I thought I had them all, but I don't have that one.
Yes.
Yes, that was a Newcomers Handbook.
Okay, thank you.
Good question. Okay, Pauline, your turn. You go.
Okay, can you still hear me?
Yes, I hear you fine.
I have the book, CoDA, a Blue Book Pocket Edition. And on page 38, it says, we may be frightened by the thought of allowing God to take care of us and the other people in our lives. What if God doesn't do what we think best? What if things don't go the way we would like? What if they don't change? What will happen if others don't like us as we change in recovery? As codependents, our fears are understandable. They lie beneath our intense need to control and avoid ourselves and others. In letting go of control and avoidance, these fears often surface, and we are emotionally faced with our spiritual dilemma. Once we face these fears, we're at a crossroads. Do we return to playing God in ours and others' lives, or do we turn our will and life over to the care of God as we understand God? Remember that we are asked only to make a decision. We are not asked to instantly experience total faith and trust in God. Our ability to trust in healthy ways has more than likely been negatively affected by the codependents in our lives. We cannot expect to make this decision without some reservation and fear. I had an experience this week when I was at my other 12-step meeting. As you know, we're starting to come out of the COVID with people, getting totally vaccinated and like that. I myself have been totally vaccinated for months due to my age. And I don't often go to this meeting. It used to be a staple for me, but I don't often go anymore. But I stepped in last night or this week, and encountered the same thing I encountered a couple of weeks ago. And the first time it bothered me, and last night it bothers me. And here's what it was. As soon as you step in the door, you're asked to sign a paper with your full name, your phone number, okay, and you will get your temperature taken, and like that. I don't care about getting my temperature taken, but here's where the fear comes in. Here's where it all comes crashing in. The first night, they just wanted me to do it immediately. And I had never, and of course we wear masks up until July 1st, we're going to stop. And, the guy just blindly asked me to do this. And, I worked for the federal government for almost 40 years. I had a really good job. And, I also took a law course. And, I just don't blindly sign my name to anything. I just don't do it. I got to know why. I got to know what it's for. I got to know what I'm doing. And of course, in this 12-step program, we have a principle of anonymity. I think most of you have pretty much figured out which program it is.
Pauline, Jane, can I interrupt you for a minute?
Yeah.
These are very important. What you're saying is important, and I think it's a good topic for discussion. This meeting today, we're talking about spirituality in the program.
I'm getting to that.
Good. Okay. Thank you.
All right. Well, anyway, the list was for the church. Okay. And I wanted to know what I was signing and why I was signing it. And I had questions about it. Then when I went in last night, the same thing happened. And again, I wasn't happy with it because I had a fear that with signing my name to something, I didn't like that this was a strange man sitting here. And I don't want to give him my phone number. I don't know him. So again, I was disturbed. So then I came home that night or today while this exact program was going on. And also earlier, I started to feel really uncomfortable because one of the big things in CoDA is control. And I thought to myself, wait a minute. You're all afraid, because of things, and you're all, this is not a spirit. It's in these pages, it talked about letting others be themselves and growing and things like that, which is part of spirituality, letting others be themselves and not always having this control thing, which is one of the patterns of it. So I came home, and with this and with what I was thinking about, I thought, wait a minute. This codependency spirituality is explaining more to me of a softness that I needed that would come with a better developed spirituality instead of an immediate, just throwing up the barriers. That's all I got.
Thank you for sharing, Pauline. This meeting goes to the top of the hour, and do we have some time left for more thoughts, shares, questions, and comments on today's subject, spirituality? And Janet, I see, that's not a raised hand. That's support. Thank you, Janet, for that. If anyone else would like to express some thoughts, ask questions on today's topic, spirituality in CoDA. I'm going to put up the link to where you can hear past recordings in a few days. This meeting will be posted at that link along with the email address for the fellowship forum. That will be in the chat. Julie, you have your hand up. Please, welcome. Continue.
Thank you so much. My name is Julie. I'm a codependent. I really wish to say thank you to everyone who has shared. It really touched me. My spirituality. I'm new in CoDA, but not in the 12-step program. And I really believe that we came for recovery, but we also came, we don't know, but we came for a spiritual experience. And that's the experience that make us believe. And it's circling that way. So, and it's growing day by day. I had too much proof that there's someone, something, a power or something, energy that is supporting me. Every time I ask, truly ask with my heart, when I ask to have a new understanding, a wisdom about something, I have it. When I ask for more peace, I have it, or more courage. Today it's a great example because I'm having a very bad migraine, and I asked. I took my pills also, but I asked. I said, "Give me the courage to go through that day," and I succeed to go with my higher power to do my things. But I succeeded to choose to have a day that was smooth, okay, because of my health. But I succeed to go to the gym, do some exercise, do a small walk, go for a small walk in my neighborhood, things like that, and cook a little bit and be happy. Also be happy with my life. And I use my higher power more and more every day, every instant. I have many prayers for different kinds. I have my fear prayer that I love, and it's help asking God to help me to remove the fear and show me what He wants me to be in that moment. The best option, the best action for me and for others. So that's what I have. I really am grateful for my renewed life with the 12-step program. Thanks, and I'll pass.
Thank you for sharing today, Julie. And thank you for being here. And thank you for your thoughts and prayer. Susan, please continue.
I have to admit, when Julie said something really interesting, it's what I do a lot of. And she mentioned gratitude, and I use gratitude all the time. And I'm always, focusing on, the positive things that are happening in my life, and gratitude for the not so positive, and I just think that the gratitude for me has a lot to do with my spirituality. The more I see things, and the more grateful I am, the more those I see those positive events, and I've got a lot to be grateful for. And I just, as I said, I think that with that mindset for me, I've gotten a lot more spiritual, because it just makes me see more. And I don't know if this is making any sense or not, but it's just that's part of my spirituality is the grateful, being, very, very grateful for what I have, and, for what God has given me. But for the person who maybe doesn't have that spirituality, quote, God thing, then it's just the gratitude for what you have, what is there. So with that, I pass. Thank you for letting me share.
Thank you for sharing, Susan. We have time before we get to the closing, we have time for one more share on the topic of spirituality.